Hey guys, this is Rich Redmond, and you're listening to the Nothing Shocking podcast.
Want to know what's going on in the world of music? Then tune in to the Nothing Shocking podcast, a non-genre based, all ages friendly rock and roll program. Join us weekly for interviews with all your favorite rock stars from the mainstream to the underground. You can find us at nothingshocking.libsyn.com or anywhere you download podcasts.
We're putting the band back together.
The numbers all go to 11.
I'm talking about bands that rock. Led Zeppelin. What about Sabbath? AC/DC. Motorhead.
Does that mean it's louder? Is it any louder?
Well, it's one louder, isn't it?
We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
I get up off the ground and raise my head. Days like this, think I should be dead. One for Satan, two for me. Let's cheat the devil, it's fun, don't you agree?
Welcome to the Nothing Shocking podcast. I'm your co-host, Jeff Untied, and with me in Dog Bowl Studios is
Coach Nez.
You can find the Nothing Shocking podcast on Libsyn or any podcatchers. Like our Facebook page or follow us on Twitter at NoShockPod.
You can also find the Nothing Shocking podcast on Rock Rage Radio every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Central Time. Our sponsor is Ragged Records, located in downtown Rock Island, Illinois, and downtown Davenport, Iowa. We'd like to thank the Hong Kong Sleepover for allowing us to use their music for our intro and bumper ending. Tonight's guest is
Rich Redmond,
session and touring drummer for Jason Aldean,
motivational speaker,
educator,
actor,
author,
yeah,
and a whole lot
more.
Yeah, it's so much more. Fantastic interview. Let's get to it.
All right, good night.
Good night. Rich, welcome to the Nothing Shocking podcast. I'd like to introduce you my co-host, Jeff Untied.
Rich, thanks for joining us tonight.
Oh my God, thanks so much, guys.
Yeah,
real honor.
Absolutely. Well, we're excited to have you. We just want to start off here by talking a little bit about your busy schedule. You're a public speaker, an author, an educator, actor, musician. When do you have time to sleep?
I get my sleep. You got to get it when you can. They used to say that the human body needs 4 hours sleep, but then recently they're like, no, 9 is best. So I'm just somewhere in there. Sometimes I get, 2-3 hours just because, I say yes to almost anything creative. And then sometimes you're like, oh my God, I can get 9 hours. So just sleep when you can. But yeah, I like to do all those things. But I think, the first thing in the morning when my feet hit the floor, I'm a musician,
Right. Absolutely. Well, your journey into the world of drumming began at the age of 8. Can you talk a little bit more about those formative years, I guess maybe the pre-college age years of drumming?
Yeah, man. I think I had it in me. I think my dad always wanted to be a drummer, but, he had a different path than me. But once he saw that I was kind of had some of that rhythm, he's like, hey, you want to do some drum lessons? So I'm a Connecticut kid, got lessons, and I think I was like 7 or 8 years old. And, my teacher said, this kid's got the knack for it. He's going to be great. And then, we moved to El Paso, Texas, and I was in the 5th grade, and, I wanted to play with my Star Wars figures and stuff. So I took a break. But when I got back to it, man, I had that early training. And then, of course, I was born in 70, so I was an MTV kid, Martha Quinn, JJ Jackson, and,
yes.
Nina Black. Oh, my God, the VJs was incredible. So you sit around TV, watching Van Halen videos and Police videos, and, that's when I was like, oh, my, I'm going to do this with my life, and I've never really looked back. I invested in myself, got all the lessons. I ended up getting a master's degree in music, so kind of overeducated, played all sorts of different kinds of music, and really kind of hit my stride when I moved to Nashville in 1997 and 1999. Met a young Jason Aldean, and that's like 23 years ago. So it's been great. It's been a great journey.
Fantastic.
Let's talk about your drum equipment a little bit. I think you're endorsed by DW Drums. Is that correct?
Yeah, I've been with DW at least a decade. Before that, I was with a company called Sonar Drums. But, DW is what's so fantastic. It was born in a garage in Southern California, I think in 1971. The American dream. They built a product that is just, very innovative. They leave no stone unturned. And, of course, like any, relationship, it's really about the people. I just love the people at that company, and the same with Sabian cymbals and Remo drum heads, ProMark drumsticks, Humensenberg cases, Latin percussion, Audio-Technica microphones. It's just all these great, companies that allow me to do what I do and express myself on a day-to-day basis, whether it's in the studio, teaching, or playing, on the road.
Oh, very cool.
How is the technology of drums? Like, has it changed much over the years?
Like a shell is a shell, the tree comes down and then you try to, but there's different, plies and different materials, and there's all sorts of innovations that come around every once in a while. But electronic percussion is very popular right now. People, realize that they can get like a, electronic drum set. You can play it in your dorm room, you can play it in double wide, whatever. You're not gonna piss off your neighbors, so that, and then there's companies that are trying to combine the, the best of acoustic technology and, digital technology, and Roland and GW have joined forces, so they're working on some crazy Frankenstein product right now. So we'll wait and see.
Oh, so cool. I wanted to bring this back to your education at North Texas. Can you talk a little bit more about the music department at North Texas? Did you receive your undergrad from North Texas as well as your master's from there?
No, I actually got my undergrad degree at Texas Tech University and studied with Alan Shin. And unfortunately, Alan passed about 2 years ago, but he was like a fantastic mentor, teacher, my professor, taught me all about percussion and jazz. And, the degree was actually in music education, which is interesting. It allows you to like score for a marching band or learn how to conduct a symphony orchestra or, teach a 12-year-old how to play the clarinet. It's a really crazy thing. And I knew I didn't want to do that, but it was a degree that would allow me to, get the piece of paper, but while I was at school, just play all sorts of different kinds of music. And then I went to the University of North Texas to get my master's degree, and I studied with the great Ed Sof and some other great teachers there. It's a very hallowed, well-respected program. Another drummer that had gone there was a guy named Greg Bissonette, and he's Ringo Starr's drummer for the last 20 years, David Lee Roth, great, musician. And I hadn't been back in 28 years, but earlier this year, Greg and I did a clinic for the percussion department and got to visit. I got to talk to the kids in the music business department, and we didn't have a music business department when I was there 28 years ago. So yeah, that was really fun to finally get back on campus.
Fantastic.
Well, you do a lot of these clinics and things like that. What's the most rewarding part about working with kids?
Well, I never had kids of my own. I've always just been busy just traveling up and down the highways and byways of America, which is very time consuming. But I do have a teacher's heart, and I have that educational background. I do fancy myself a teacher. I take a lot of pride, and I think music education definitely makes a difference in people's lives. That's why things like School of Rock and Rock Stars of Tomorrow and Bach to Rock and all these kind of like extracurricular mom and pop music education. They stick guitar, drums, keyboards, bass in kids' hands, and they say, hey, we're doing a Nirvana concert in 2 weeks. And so the kids learn about, persistence and teamwork and time management and, how to practice. Just knowing how to practice and knowing things like it's better to practice 20 minutes a day, 7 days a week than, 10 hours every Saturday, because it's about that mind body connection, that muscle memory. So, I just like making a difference in people's lives. I tell people my purpose in life is to change people's lives and affect people in a positive way. And you could do that through education, you could do that through entertainment, so entertaining people, and also recording. Recording is great. Why do they call it a record? It's a record because it's a snapshot in time of a particular experience or group of musicians creating something that's captured for all time. So it's all a great way to give back to humanity. But I love teaching, and a lot of my students go on they're getting into the best music programs in the United States. They're getting jobs as drummers. They're getting jobs as touring drum techs. It's great. They're becoming full-time teachers, so it's very satisfying.
Nice. Post graduation from North Texas with your master's degree, how long did it take to get your first break? Big break, that is.
People would say, every day you're working for that break. You know what I mean? Have I made it yet? Is there more to come? But when I moved to Nashville when I was 26, quickly turned 27, and was just playing with anyone and everyone. And I think I was 29 years old, and I got a job with a gal named Pam Tillis, and she was the daughter of Mel Tillis. Big pop country star. It was the first time I ever had somebody setting up and tearing down my drums and twisting the water cap off my water, and I had a salary, and people in the audience knew all the words to all her songs, and they sang along. So that was like my first just cracking the door. And then from there it's just all relationships and trying to crash parties and let people know you exist, and hopefully they like what you do, and it's just all word of mouth, and it takes time. Then that same year I met a young Jason Aldean, and we got him signed to a record deal in 2004, and that was really the one that really has stuck, because that has been a job for me for 23, 24 years.
Absolutely.
Just hard to find in the music business.
I got a high school age kid, and he's just recently discovered country music, and he's really been getting in. He introduced me to Jason Aldean, even though I'd heard some of it on the radio. We just had our local county fair here, and had some country acts. He went like every night to see all the different.
That's cool. Yeah, it is kind of like the new music of the people. I mean, it's these like relatable stories that people can relate to, with these earwig melodies that get caught in your head, big rock and roll instrumentation with a little steel guitar tucked in there, maybe a little bit of a banjo, So yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Well, you've been Jason Aldean's drummer for the past 24 years. As far as music creativity goes, can you kind of compare and contrast the writing and recording process of the Jason Aldean in the now to that of when you first started working with him?
Oh my God, same process, because Nashville has a machinery. It truly is not only the songwriting capital of the world, but it's one of the recording capitals of the world, where there's just more recording studios per capita than anywhere else on the planet. Every little house you see on Music Row is either a lawyer's office, a publishing office, a booking agent, or a recording studio. And, the way we do things is we have the system called the Nashville number system, which basically is a chart. It's like writing a classical musician playing in the London Symphony would get this gigantic chart, and we in Nashville have a shorthand called the Nashville number system. We compresses all that information into like a very short one-page chart, and so we listen to a song, like a rough demo that someone makes on their GarageBand, or it's the songwriter comes in and physically strums the guitar and does the thing and shows it to us. We compare it to the chart. We get out on the floor. We talk about how fast we want it, any kind of attitudes and spirits, where all the stops are, what's the ending going to be. Play that sucker down. Sometimes that's the take. It's like, so a song is recorded in 30 minutes, but on average, we record one song every 90 minutes. So if we do a 3-hour session, we record 2 songs, take a 1-hour lunch, and do another 2 songs in the afternoon. So you do 4 songs a day, and we usually record 15 songs. So pretty much in 3 work days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we've got the record. And that's bass, drums, 2 electric guitars, acoustic guitar, piano, and then bass, and then Jason behind the glass with the producer and the label guy and the engineer and the assistant engineer, and then the entourage or whatever's there that day, and it's all going down. And then he'll go and then take those tracks. He usually sings what we call a scratch track, which is a tongue twister, and then he'll go one day and just try to knock out 2-3 songs, trying to go for the keeper vocal and really focusing on intonation, inflection, style, phrasing, all that kind of stuff. But this is the way everybody does their records in Nashville. It is like a factory, just because the songs that are written for Jason are so well written and constructed, they practically play themselves. And then the session musicians that all play are just used to just rocking. I mean, they just have this deep, highly developed intuition about the history of music and what is appropriate for songs and the storytelling, and they just get it done. It's pretty unbelievable.
That's so cool. We've talked to many of artists that have migrated to Nashville rock artists, punk artists, you name it, metal artists, everybody you can think of. As far as Nashville, the Nashville scene goes, we've talked to many of these artists that have felt that the community of Nashville has become oversaturated with songwriters and musicians. Like it's not like maybe we're starting to see maybe artists move away from Nashville opposed to migrating there. Can you talk a little bit more about the scene? Is it oversaturated, or do you feel like it's still the thriving metropolis of music that it's always been?
Oh, it's healthier than it's ever been. I mean, there was a national in the 90s, where there was the boom, and that was, prosperous because not only were people seeing shows, they were buying records, like physical records, and loading them into their 5-disc CD changer, and then, of course, Napster and all that madness changed music forever. And but I think there's no such thing as oversaturated. It's just the more the merrier. Like, come ye, so we can have this big, beautiful, creative community. And the people that are coming from Atlanta and Miami and New York and LA and Chicago, they're bringing their methodologies and their contacts and their influences to our wonderful little town. And it never becomes like a competition nightmare because cream rises. If you're doing the right thing consistently, you're a good musician, you're a good business person, you got a firm handshake, you're a person of character, integrity, you develop this reputation, the cream rises. If you're good at what you do, you're like always going to work, but it might take 5 years. It might take 10 years to develop enough of a reputation as like a reliable musician that a lot of people can rely on, and that story has to be corroborated over and over and over by various tastemakers at upper levels. And so, like, that's what I had to do. I had to just come and work really hard, nose to the grindstone, and just keep doing it. I never gave myself a time limit. Where people fail is they say, like, hey, I'm going to give myself 1 year to see if I can start making a you're shooting yourself in the foot, because it might happen at 1 year and 2 days. You just got to do it because you're going to do it no matter what. And that was my spirit and attitude about making it as a drummer. Never had a doubt in my mind ever that I wouldn't make it, that I wouldn't find the right job. Just had to find that right person. I told people I had to find my Elton, my Billy, my Mellencamp, my Sting. I had to find my Bono, and had to kiss a lot of toads to find Jason Aldean and his guys,
Yeah,
very good.
But I did it, and I didn't say, well, I'm only going to give myself. No, you just got to just stay in the game. And sometimes there's other, things like people are like, oh man, I'm newly married, or I just had a baby. Like, I mean, you got to do the right thing.
Absolutely.
But if you got a partner that's got a double income, or you're footloose and fancy free, it's just come and make it happen.
So cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the landscape of being a musical artist has changed so much the last couple of years. You kind of almost have to be a session musician or have your hands in different pots. Talk more about
so many pots. Yeah,
being a session musician and how that works for you.
Well, I never told myself that I was just going to be a session musician, because that would allow me to not take opportunities that included travel and seeing the world.
Yeah. And
some of the best education you can ever have in your life is travel. I mean, it is the great educator, other people and cultures and places and how they do things. And so I love the bus. I love travel. I mean, my suitcase has pretty much been packed for, 27 years, and I love it, but I also love the recording studio. So just by being open mentally, psychically, career, business model wise to those two different types of creative expressions, two different types of revenue streams, the calendar is never empty. It's just like, okay, today I'm going to record, tomorrow I'm going to teach, next day I'm going to record again, get on the bus, go take the music to the people. We're going to play the Enormo Dome on Thursday. We're going to play the amphitheater on Friday. We're going to do this big festival on Saturday. Come back Sunday, do your laundry, water the cactus, and kind of it allows you to kind of like do a lot of that, swim in different waters creatively. And that's why I like, let me study voiceover, and I'm a real ham. So let me get my SAG card as an actor, get my butt in a couple of horror films. And then I came up with educational products that just kind of are evergreen, and then I was like, oh my God, I really like positive thinking and positivity and Napoleon Hill. I read all of his books, and Tony Robbins, and then I came up with my own motivational thing that corporate America will hire. And then while I was there, they're like, hey, you're organized and you really can rally the troops. And why don't you do some hosting? And then now I'm doing like corporate MC work where, I get to wear my skinny jeans and a nice jacket with a rock tee, and they put the lapel mic on me, and I go out there and I introduce people. I'll do panel moderation. So I'm not afraid of kind of like getting my hands dirty. But if you, with some of these other skill sets, but for the most part, when you come to see me play with Jason Aldean, that's like, I think that's what God said. You will be an arena rock drummer. I was like, yes, sir. And that's kind of that's what I am. And then everything else is just like icing.
Fantastic. Well, let's talk a little bit more about Crash Course for Success, a motivational drumming event and book that you take on the road. Can you talk a little bit more about this venture that you're on?
Oh, yeah. Crash has been around for a long time. Crash Course for Success. So if people are interested in getting on Amazon, Jeff Bezos will lick the stamps and he will send this book to your house. You'll have it at your front door the next day. You can download it to your iPad or your Kindle, or you can go on Audible, and it's a free offering, and I will read the book to you with my sexy pipes. But basically, CRASH is an acronym. It stands for commitment, relationships, attitude, skill, and hunger. So 5 things literally anyone from any walk of life and any season of their life can use to be more successful. And so obviously, like commitment, we've all talked about practice and showing up and the 10,000 hours and all that. So that kind of feeds into the idea of committing to something. And then relationships, crucial to life, especially in the music business. It's not a resume business. It's not a LinkedIn business. It's not a headhunter's business. It's a relationship business. So I really double down on the importance of relationships in life and getting what you want out of life. And then attitude is 99.9% of life. People that have positive attitudes, they live longer, they're healthier, they're happier, they have more friends, they make more money. And it's just a mindset. So I talk about positivity, living in the land of unicorns and rainbows. And then we talk about skill, the skills you have to almost like identify first and then work your whole life to master, and then never getting cocky. You have to kind of keep up with the Joneses, like a doctor has to continually educate himself. You got to stay up with the things, because if you want to like make fine wine, you don't do it with rotting grapes. You constantly got to be learning new skills. And then hunger is the final piece, stoking the flames of desire to be successful, those flames that burn in your belly. I still have that same childlike spirit I did when I was 8 years old and had that blue sparkle snare drum, or when I discovered, Dio and Molly Crew and the Hooters and Mellencamp, and I was playing along in my bedroom I still have that fire that burns in my belly. So if you use all these things in perfect harmony, synergistically, you'll be an unstoppable human being. And why I like acronyms is because they're so easy to remember. And so I'm going to be writing a lot of books in the future, and everything's either going to be based on either a 4 or 5 letter acronym. So I just love acronyms.
Fantastic.
Awesome. Well, we kind of alluded to touring with Jason Aldean. What is the summer fall tour schedule right now? Are you guys out on the road or getting ready to go?
We are on the road. Yeah, I'm about to go up to get on the tour bus. We meet at the Walmart and we get on the bus. No, we get on the bus. Nashville's. It's a great bus culture. We do not a whole lot of flying. I know friends that are like playing with like legacy acts, and they just play like Fridays and Saturdays at casinos, or like smooth jazz artists, and it's all flights, right. Jumping on flights. But we're lucky we have the bus, and our guys, we love the bunk, man. You pull the curtain on that bunk and it's your own little world. You got your little drink holder and your USB port and your little shelf in there. It's like good night. And then the wheels of the bus, the hum just kind of lulls you to sleep. I mean, I've been doing it forever, so I love it. But yeah, we used to do just around the clock and around the year shows, and now we're down to about, we usually do 40, 50 shows. But now Jason is wanting to do them July to October. So for the last couple of years, coming out of COVID, we've been doing the July to October thing. So July to October, every Thursday, Friday, Thursday through Sunday, basically, we're out taking the music to the people. So it's a compressed period of time, but we love it. I mean, it's like a group of guys that finish each other's sentences, relationships that are truly steeped in, blood and sweat and tears and brotherhood. We've seen each other way more than we've seen our wives, girlfriends, blood relatives, children. I mean, it does take a special person to make this work as a road musician. And not only that, but to keep doing this presidency after presidency with the same guys it's really unbelievable. It really is unbelievable. We love each other. We'll take a bullet for each other, and it's great to have this much time in the trenches because we do have an unspoken language on stage when it comes to musicianship, when it comes to showmanship, just a high level of communication. We don't have to say a word. We can just look at each other. And that's only comes from those time in the trenches.
So cool. I want to bring this back to your first book, Fundamentals of Drumming for Kids Ages 5 through 10, published by Modern Drummer. How did this ideology come to you?
Yeah. Well, that's a one. Hopefully that'll be around for a while as well. It's a Fundamentals of Drumming, capital F-U-N, Fundamentals of Drumming for Kids ages 5 to 10. And it will work for a kid that's 5 years old that wants to play the drums. It'll also work for a 50-year-old man, literally, that wants to learn how to play the drums. And the idea behind it was I had a friend, and he goes, my son, I want him to teach him how to play drums, but I don't feel like there's a really strong books on the market. It turns out my friend, also is a drum hobbyist, but he was also an author, Michael Albrecht, who had written 12 other books. And I was like, oh, my God, if this guy knows how to get 12 other books past the finish line to straight into publishing, let's do this thing together. So we put our heads together and created this little program that gets kids learning about the history of rhythm, and then they learn about note values and the anatomy of the drum set, and then we get them into showing them how to hold the sticks. And then my most important philosophy in all of my teaching, which is to teach someone how to read music. So they learn, these basic beats that people have used in everything from like ABBA to Zappa, but they can also learn how to play these basic beats. And by the end of the book, they get to play a little 16-bar drum solo. So it's cute, it'll be around, and the people that pick it up are always very happy to incorporate it in their curriculum, which is a real honor to come up with something and have drum teachers and music educators around the world, using your book in their teaching it's very flattering.
Oh, so cool. With your success of authoring books, you've also been a columnist for Modern Drummer, Rhythm, In Tune, and various other publications. Do you find that writing is a passion or more of a hobby for you?
I would say I wouldn't call it a hobby because I definitely, when I was in high school, I was like, well, I could be a journalist. I was really good. I was on the yearbook staff and all that kind of stuff. So I kind of have a penchant for it. But it also is very frustrating because I have a pretty good vocabulary, but I think most people see me as a more of just a conversationalist, with a lot of ums and ers, like most humans, and I like having co-authors. I really do like it. When I write the books, I like having co-authors because they can help you with that 50,000-foot view and help you get out of your head. And then my co-author on my new book, Making It in Country Music, an Insider's Look at the Industry, Jennifer Delazana, she's a professional editor, so she makes all of her money editing, so she knows all those rules about, is it a colon or a semicolon? Is it the question mark, or is the quotes before the question mark or after the question? So she doesn't have to think twice about that stuff. So I love having co-authors because they can really help you get out of your head, and hopefully they have some skill sets like putting indexes together and bibliographies and footnotes and all those things that we had to do in college that I really never want to have to do again ever.
Absolutely. Good job.
Well, in addition to country music, you've also worked with some notable rock acts and stuff like that. Is there a style of music that maybe you haven't worked with that you would want to record an album with someone?
It's a great point. I've played a lot of classical music, marching band, 20th century avant-garde music. I've played in cumbia bands and nerd 80s new wave tribute bands and original metal acts, and played smooth jazz and big band, and it's all so fun, and I miss so much of it. But then however you find your success. So the world sees me now as this hard hitting country rock drummer. Really, I'm just an overeducated rock drummer that understands the language of country music. And if I had to play a country act covering AC/DC versus actually playing with AC/DC, there still really wouldn't be much of a difference. I'm still gonna do my thing, but also have the wherewithal to be able to read the room, and I might have to adjust my dynamics, or I might have to play with blastics or change the tuning of my drums depending on the environment, but I'm still gonna have that same essence and swagger and approach, because finally, after all these decades of playing music, I think I've been afforded the opportunity to have created a style. I think it is somewhat recognizable, hopefully, because I've had people call me and be like, "Hey, man, are you playing drums on that such and such song from such and such?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Dude, I knew it right away." So that's like a big compliment, because a lot of the drumming on popular music, on popular radio, is not complicated. So to be able to have enough of a personality or essence to shine through all the same of it all and the technology of it all is pretty cool. So that's kind of what I want to keep striving for.
Oh, that is so cool. Well, the list of signature products that you're involved with is impressive. Can you give our listeners an insight of all the products that you endorse?
Oh, God, sure. Let me see. Well, you can go to richredmond.com. It's REDMOND, richredmond.com, and there is a page that has all my products. And if there's listeners out there that play the drums and they want to work on their reading, I have a gift for you. It's totally free. It's my gift to the universe. You go hit the shop icon on my website, and you could download a transcription, note-for-note transcription of all the drum parts I've ever played on all the Jason Aldean songs, and just for free. So that's all. But, I have like a signature case with Humes&Berg cases. I have a Rich Redmond Active Grip 595 drumstick from ProMark. Really, really fun. I helped design a bass drum beater. It's a 2-in-1 bass drum beater from DW. It's called the Black Sheep. So it's super hard maple and for one sound, and then you put like this kind of like muffled spongy looking device on top of it to get like a little bit more of a softer attack. What else? I have the books that you can get, the free charts. I created a product that's 5.5 hours of drum education training. It's called drumminginthemodernworld.com. It's in a mouthful, drumminginthemodernworld.com, but it's 120 HD videos of me breaking down and performing all the Jason Aldean hits, and then playing with other artists. There's 7 camera angles, and I'm really proud of that. It was a year planning and like a very long week shooting around the clock, and I couldn't believe it. But that product is 8 years old, but still holds up really well if you're interested in like learning the style that is Nashville traditional country, alt country, pop country, southern rock. It's all in those videos.
Oh, so cool. Well, after all of this, we still haven't really talked about your time in acting. You were in a movie, All Light Will End, and then also you were on a series on Sci-Fi, Happy. Can you talk a little bit more about your endeavors in acting?
Yeah, man. Well, I've been married a couple times, like a lot of musicians, but after my second wife, we got divorced. I was just kind of like in my mid 40s, and I was like, you know what? I've always wanted to see if I could do that acting thing. I always liked physical comedy, like John Ritter and Three's Company, but I also like very dark things like Ridley Scott's Alien. And I was like, you know what? Let me just do this. I started to go taking classes. I got my headshots. Like everybody gets bit by that bug, and usually they realize how hard it is, and they're like 6 months. They're like, I'm out. Yeah. But in under 5 years, I studied with every teacher in Nashville. I went to Los Angeles and took acting classes with a bunch of wonderful teachers that have trained a lot of famous people, and did the whole thing and got my SAG card. I got in that Netflix film playing it wasn't a stretch for me. It was basically like a over caffeinated radio DJ, kind of like a Casey Kasem type guy. And so that was fun that the credits roll and my name's there, and there's not a set of drums in sight, so I proved to myself that I can do it. And then through another relationship, I was able to be a cop and also get stunt credit, and then beat the hell out of Christopher Maloney from Law and Order, SVU. He was the star of this show called Happy, and I was on episode 208, season 2, episode 208. Very brief, but it was just cool to prove to myself that I could go down a very difficult path that is very oversaturated. Now that's a business that's oversaturated, and I could pull it off. And this is on Mondays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays. This is me like keeping my other jobs, but flying to LA to take acting classes and do auditions on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays. So at great expense, I proved to myself that I could do that thing. And then I also got into like hosting. I have a hosting reel. I have a voiceover reel. I have a commercial act. I have all these assets, to be able to prove that I can do these things. It's just a matter of like shaking the right hand and then having the time to do it. I got called to act in a Tennessee lottery commercial. But the thing is, the actors are on strike right now. So they were sending me the audition in hopes that I would break the strike, but I would never do that. There's some serious issues that have to be addressed right now, especially with the AI. I mean, they underpay background actors as it is, but then to be able to only pay them one time, grab their entire essence digitally, and then insert them into any other product and never pay the person again is so wrong.
Yeah.
Very well said.
That is so wrong. So I think this strike's going to be going on for a minute.
Got one more question for you, and then we'll leave you alone for the evening. We asked.
You guys are great. Great questions.
Well, thank you. Well, we asked this question to all of our guests. This is the toughest question you're going to get from us all night. So here it is.
Uh-oh.
All right. So the mystery of rock and roll in country music, in any genre of music, it's gone because the internet and the social medias have totally taken over, and there's no Kiss anymore. There's no Led Zeppelin mystery. There's no Doors. None of that stuff. None of that stuff exists anymore. For you, the musician and the fan, what do you prefer, the mystery and mystique of music, rock and roll, country, you name it, or do you like this new age of accessibility? Because, hey, if we didn't have the internet, we wouldn't be doing this with you tonight.
Well, I mourn the old days. I mean, it would have been amazing to be a teenager in my early 20s in the sexy 70s. You know what I mean? Like the best of the one-hit wonders, the best of the rock bands, the best of all the Laurel Canyon stuff, and oh my God, what an amazing period. 1968 to like 1982. Golden period of music. But I like the accessibility. I embraced it, and I was able to, I know I'm going to use air quotes, and there'll be people out there of a certain age that will roll their eyes, but I was able to use the internet to build a brand. And it, people all want a cola, right? There's all sorts of different types of colas out there, but when you really say you want a cola, you say I want a Coke. So you want to be as close as possible to a Coke, like a reliable, can't screw up, never, always going to knock it out of the ballpark product. You know what I mean? And we are a product. So the internet allowed me to but there still is a mystery. Believe me, there is this lure of the musician, and it just seems like people see musicians, they pay good money to go up and get as close as possible to them, and all the $20 parking and the $18 beers, and they're paying because they're still drawn to this idea of the troubadour, somebody that is doing this alternative lifestyle, can sleep to noon if they want, kind of creative job. And people are like, wow, there still is this crazy lure, and the idea of a signature. It's like, you want my signature? I'm just a guy who loves the drums. I'll go up there and do this for free. You want my signature? But you know what? You embrace it, and you just realize that, people are still love the mystery of whatever, but we don't have the liner notes. We don't have the physical product. We don't have people lining up outside of Sunset Records, or Tower Records on Sunset, through the night, so they can get that thing and they smell it and they pull it. It's gone, It was like, it's just, that's gone. But we can't cry on our Cheerios. We just have to, kind of embrace the new technology. Otherwise, drummers, we had a hard time with the drum machines. The Lynn machine and the 808 and the 909 were like, oh no, and the Simmons will never work again. And you ride it. It's like, I have people that take my drums, they sample my drums, they use it on other things, I'll never see a dime. So I said, well, I'm not going to get rich doing this, but you want to use samples? Use my samples. You know what I mean? So I have like 2 sample packs at Yurt Rock, YURT.rock.com, Yurt Rock. And composers and songwriters go and they could buy my loops for $40 and my samples, and they can have a piece of my essence in their music making, and we never have to meet. You know, I would much rather meet. I'm very much a people person. I want to be in the room. I want that person smelling my sweat after I do the drum track. You know what I mean? But it's not happening as much. We're lucky that in Nashville it's still happening. Like every day, people are in the same room playing music together, which is really cool.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
We're out of our allotted time for the evening. Is there anything that we left off tonight that you would like to plug or promote?
Well, you know, I think I plugged just about everything in the universe that I have attached to. No, but you guys are great. You guys are great. And where are you guys? Where are you guys? And why did you start doing this? What's the story?
Well, yeah, we're Rock Island, Illinois, Quad Cities, right in the middle of Iowa, Illinois, about the center of the country. Been an avid music collector probably since I was 12, 14, somewhere in there.
Yeah, actually, I had started the podcast up with another guy about, I don't know, what do you think, about 4 years ago?
Yeah.
And the previous podcasting partner, he had to give it up because he became president of a pool company. And so, yeah, so we were shut down for about 11, 12 months, and I've known Jeff forever, and we were kind of talking about it one day, and he was kind of talking. I thought, hey, you want to try this? You want to do this? So we've been really blessed. We know a lot of people. We've just been real lucky, and I guess maybe we're kind of good salesmen to get people on the podcast.
Oh no, man! And you guys are great interviewers, and you feed off each other. You know, I mean, I do the same thing. You know, I got my show 162 episodes over 4 years, and you know, I started out really hot and heavy with 2 a week, and then you realize, oh my God, this is really hard to maintain this. That's why I'm totally blown away with somebody like Mark Maron, who was ahead of the curve, started that thing, 14 years ago, and has not stopped the 2 a week ever.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
It is.
That's like crazy.
Absolutely.
Well, if I did my math right, I think you're going to be our 200th episode since I joined.
Oh, I love that, man. Well, that's really sweet. I think I'm coming to the Iowa State Fair either this month or next month or in the next 2 months.
Oh, awesome.
Well, next time you come to our area, we're the home of John Deere. So you guys have played in our Civic Center. Next time you come into Moline, Illinois, give us a ring.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I did a drum clinic one time in Moline at a place called The Establishment. It's I guess it was like a nightclub / meeting place where you can rent it out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. So next time next time you're in town, give us a ring. We'll bring you some Quad City style pizza or some Quad City style ice cream or something.
That's good to know. Good to know. Well, guys, thanks so much for having me. Please keep in touch, and I'll send you like a picture. I don't know if you need a picture for the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Rich, thank you so much.
Thanks for coming on.
Hey, man, have safe travels.
Appreciate it, guys. Keep in touch.
Take care, man. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Everybody
Welcome to the night. You think you know Night Demon? Then the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast is for you. Step into the darkness as we peel back the curtain to give you an unprecedented, all-access look into the mind and the heart of the demon. We're talking band history, song analysis, studio anecdotes, stories from the road. It's everything a diehard Night Demon fan could want and more. This is the only place to learn the inside scoop, the deep dive trivia, the untold tales from the band members themselves and those closest to the Night Demon story. Need more? The sacred Night Demon Crypt will be pried open to reveal demo recordings that have never before seen the light of day, all with in-depth commentary by the band and the people who were there for the writing and recording process. This is a gold mine, a treasure trove of all things Night Demon. Head over to nightdemon.net or wherever you listen to podcasts.